Hey everyone, I'm Monica Spain. Welcome to That Transit Show. Transit ridership is up in the Puget Sound region. Today we'll talk about what that means for your ride, and then we'll take a trip to watch the Mariners play. Welcome aboard. I'm here with Matthew Muller, Director of Planning at Community Transit. Matt, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, we're here to talk about ridership, but before we get into that, I want to ask you, how did you get into transit?
Really, kind of fascination with transit started in college. I went to the University of Florida, and about a decade before I started there, the city and the college got together and just decided that they couldn't build enough roads or parking to accommodate 50 to 60,000 students, and instead just poured all of those resources into creating a great bus system. And so you'd pretty much step outside and have a bus available any time of day, any day of week, and relied on it exclusively, didn't always have access to a car, and just became really kind of enamored with transit scheduling and bus planning. And eventually, after I finished graduate school, I went back and worked with them and kind of have been in transit planning ever since.
So you hit on a few things with that: frequency, reliability. Those are words that we talk about a lot. So tell me, like, as a planner and as a transit user, you probably have this vision for what public transportation could be for a community. Tell me about that.
It's actually, for me, it's pretty simple. It's just trying to make a system that's convenient, like the one I referenced. In our urban areas, that's going to be a lot of frequency, a lot of span. Really
span of service, meaning like early in the day to later in the evening? Okay.
Correct, yeah. But we do serve like a really diverse area. So in some of our rural communities that may look different. And so in those areas, we've been trying other services like our Zip service. And so really it just comes down to allowing people to live their lives and not have to necessarily make their travel decisions strictly around transit, but having transit available for them when they need it to meet their needs.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, we saw ridership go down, but ridership is going back up. And in fact, in this area, our agency, Community Transit, but also Sound Transit, King County Metro, Everett Transit have all seen an uptick in ridership. For Community Transit, that's been a 17% increase in 2024 over 2023. Is 17%, is that a significant number?
Yeah, of course. Anytime you're able to have double-digit growth, it's hugely significant. And it's I think a product of the investment that we've made into the service. We've invested a lot of hours coming out of the pandemic to get us back to pre-pandemic conditions. And then I think it also, in fairness, reflects just people traveling to work more and just a general healthy economy in the region, and a variety of factors can be attributed to it, but ultimately, yes, it kind of validates what we're doing and shows the importance of transit in the area.
What changes have you seen with the commuter market, and how have we kind of reorganized to accommodate that?
Well, I would say that the market is still evolving, but we know that there's been a really strong response to Linwood.
To light rail coming
and
north, yeah.
Correct. And so I think at both Mount Lake Terrace and Linwood on weekdays, there's almost 5,000 individuals typically accessing the system. We're hearing reports about just traffic and lack of available parking, and that's just a sign of popularity.
Parking at Linwood City Center is like pretty maxed out from what I've seen.
Yeah, by mid-morning, yes. But fortunately, there are a number of facilities nearby that our customers can use, like Ashway, that have high frequency service that connect to Linwood if you aren't able to find a parking space. But in general, getting back to your question, I think the commuter market is something that we'll continue to monitor. We're still seeing major employers update their policies on the level of work from home and their expectation for when individuals have to be in the office. And I think, watching that will send some signals for how we further adapt to those conditions. And we'll work with our partners at Sound Transit, who also have their ST Express bus network, and try to find solutions that best spread the resources available. So
how do you decide where and when to schedule service and the type of service to put there?
Yeah, so building on some of the earlier conversation about, the policy decisions we make around the type of service we want and the data that we have available to us, we also rely on our customers quite a bit. They provide great feedback. For example, not too long ago, there was an individual that was traveling from Bothell to Seattle Hill Road area, which is in kind of the eastern part of our service area. And, he let us know that he was missing his connection by 10 minutes. And that missed connection was the last trip of the night for the bus that he was trying to connect to. And fortunately, we looked at the schedule, and it's a change that we're going to be able to accommodate. And, it kind of highlights the complexity and nuances of all of the different interactions between routes. And a lot of this kind of level of detail we only know if a customer provides direct feedback. And so we benefit from it quite a bit, and can't overemphasize how important that is, and also determining the service that we provide.
Well, Matt, it's been great having you on the show.
You.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
With parking being tricky and expensive, have you thought about taking transit to watch the ball game? Come along and we'll show you how.
Hey, it's Sam. My husband and I live in Snohomish County, and we decided to skip the traffic and pricey game day parking to catch a Mariners game. We started our trip at Ashway Park and Ride on a Saturday afternoon. The lot had tons of free parking spots. From there, we hopped on the Swift Orange Line to head toward Linwood City Center Station. I used my Orca card to pay, and my husband grabbed a $2.50 ticket from the vending machine with his credit card. The ride from Ashway to Linwood City Center took just 15 minutes, pretty quick. Once we arrived, we walked over to the light rail platform. My husband bought a $6 round-trip light rail ticket, while I just tapped my Orca card. Since it was all still within the 2-hour transfer window, I only had to pay an extra 50 cents, the difference between the Swift and light rail fare. The Linwood parking garage was already looking pretty full, so we were glad that we chose Ashway instead. We boarded the light rail and continued our ride into Seattle. We rode the light rail down to the Soto stop, then walked about 10 minutes over to Ghost Fish Brewery to meet up with friends. Everything there is gluten-free, food and drinks. After eating our fill, we walked to T-Mobile Park for the game. The game was a blast, great crowds, great vibes, and of course we had to grab some classic ballpark snacks. It was one of the first games of the season, so the energy was electric. After the game, we joined a wave of Mariners fans walking down to Stadium Station to catch the light rail home. I tapped my Orca card again, and since my husband had a round-trip ticket, he was good to go. We rode back up to Linwood City Center Station to catch the last Orange Line bus of the night, back to Ashway. Pro tip, always check the bus schedule before your trip, especially if you're heading home late. And that's it. Super simple, stress-free, and way more fun than sitting in traffic. Plan your next trip at communitytransit.org.
We'll see you next time on That Transit Show. I'm Monica Spain. See you at our next stop.